There is no justification for life, but also no reason not to live. Those who claim to find meaning in their lives are either dishonest or deluded. In either case, they fail to face up to the harsh reality of the human situations. In a world filled with nothing but violence, destruction, loss of family members, lack of free will, and death, what type of person do you see yourself becoming? Do you picture yourself being a naive, optimistic man or woman who says enough is enough, makes and aspires to change the world? Or do you see yourself as a gray, catatonic nihilist who sees and views everything as meaningless and wants everything to crash down and burn? In Attack on Titan, there's a vast amount of characters that have their own motivations and ideas on how they view the world and the people in it, and we witness how they use their actions to propel those ideals. Let's look at a group in the show called the Eldian Restorationists, who make it their life mission to rise above the Marleyan oppression they endured for years and rise to glory for the sake of their race. Or even a character like Erwin Smith, a natural-born leader of men who makes it his life mission to find out what lies behind the walls and will do everything it takes, even if it means sending your soldiers to their inevitable deaths just to reach a small inch of progress for humanity. But I find no character as polarizing and interesting to do a 10-minute or more video on than Zeke Yeager. It's not necessarily his Indiana Jones teacher appearance that makes people engage with him as an antagonist, but it's more of his existential nihilist attitude, backstory, and his journey from where he began in a story to how he concluded. This is the character journey of Zeke Yeager. At the beginning of his youth, Zeke was already put in a situation that he never asked for nor had any choice in making. You see, Zeke and his family were born in Marley, a nation that has oppressed and treated harshly the Eldian peoples that lives and resides there. Reason being that Eldians are the only race of humans that can turn themselves into these huge humanoid man-eating titans. Marley would even keep Eldians in zones and stitch star symbols that would let people know that they are indeed Eldians. Zeke as a young boy was then sent to the warrior program in Marley to serve as a potential warrior for the country, with the promise that their families would be given the title of honorary Marleyan and freedom within the country. Grisha Yeager inducts Zeke into the program as a spy to infiltrate while he and Dinah would attend Eldian Restorationist meetings. This will result in a distance between Zeke and his father, who didn't see any interest or value in him other than being a key to help the Eldians rise up again, and that took a heavy toll on Zeke's heart. In terms of Zeke's overall training, he never really performed that well in the program, but he did manage to find a friend during his training, a man named Tom Casaver. They talked, played catch, and Tom even gave Zeke probably the first ever compliment in his life with Zeke's baseball pitching skills. After another poor performance in the warrior program, Zeke witnesses his father and mother reaction to him doing poorly, and seeing the frustration, especially in his father's face, brought Zeke down to another level of depression and uselessness. After a training event, Casaver and Zeke had a conversation on why they decided to become a warrior, and from their conversation, Casaver begins to tell Zeke about the history of Titans, the founding Titan Ymir, and so on. One day, Zeke overhears a group of Marley officers talking about how they are close to finding out the Eldian Restorationists' hideout. He also overhears that once they capture them, they will be sent to Paradise Island and live their lives as pure Titans. Zeke panics and races off to his parents, telling them that they need to stop what they are doing unless they want to be sent to Paradise Island. Zeke went so far as to say that if they keep going, they could end up like Faye Yeager, Grisha Yeager's younger sister, who was killed when Grisha was just a young kid. Grisha yells at Zeke, saying that they need to fight so that no one can meet her fate again and that they are taking Eldia back from Marley. In conclusion, Zeke saw no getting through to his father and felt hopeless. Sad and overwhelmingly depressed with nothing and no one else to talk to, Zeke discloses all of the information regarding his parents and the Restorationists to Casaver. Casaver, shocked by this revelation, then suggests to Zeke that he should tell on his parents to free himself from the emotional turmoil, neglect, and negative experiences he has attained throughout his parents. His parents being the people that never once acknowledged their own child's thoughts or feelings in his entire life. Zeke agrees and went on to betray his parents and taunt them for being a part of the Eldian Restorationists to Marley officers, sending Grisha and Dinah to Paradise Island to be transformed into pure Titans. This disheartens Zeke, but instead of wallowing in his own self-pity, he begins to inherit his father's or his entire race's will to free the Eldians from Marleyan oppression, but in his own way. Years later, during Zeke and Kasaver's throwing and catching match, Kasaver brings up that the Fountain Titan, the strongest Titan ever, had the ability not just to alter memories, but also change the compositions and structures of Eldians. Zeke was enamored with this idea and came up with the idea that to truly free the Eldians from their hellish existence, he needs the Fountain Titan's powers to euthanize and inhibit every Eldian from reproducing forever, eventually having the Eldians die out within the next 100 years. At the age of 17, Zeke became the oldest of the warrior candidates in the program and was selected to inherit one of the powers of the Titans, the Beast Titan, which she devoured from Kasaver. Zeke, now viewing life as meaningless and without any value in it if it meant suffering, he made it his life purpose to euthanize and basically commit genocide on every single Eldian from this world. At the beginning of the story, Attack on Titan starts pretty typical in shonen anime storytelling. The main character has a tragic backstory, emits revenge upon the villain, gets stronger, and vows to defeat the villain. But Attack on Titan doesn't do that, and when audiences and readers witness the story as it unfolds, they are left knowing that this story is way more complicated and complex than what's on the surface. And as we continue to progress and move forward, we are met with new truths within the story, especially truths in regard to who is the true antagonist or villain. Now, if you read or watch Attack on Titan, you know that there is no cutthroat one and only villain in the story. It's a very complicated and morally gray world where anybody could be a villain. But in my opinion, I consider Zeke Yeager to be the main antagonist in the story, and it fits perfectly in this role. In the Merriam Dictionary, the word antagonist is defined as one that contends with or opposes another. And in my own interpretation, that can relate not just physical opposition, but also moral and ethical ones as well. And I think Zeke Yeager perfectly fits into that mold, because he forces upon his ideas and beliefs into our heroes in a discouraging, unempathetic, and brutal way, but also at the same time having a valid reason upon why he is doing it, on some light Yagami type shit. Even as the oldest cadet in the warrior program, he probably enacted those same beliefs upon his warrior program members, being Reiner, Bolto, and even Annie. The idea of life, living, and the act of fighting against the odds are seen as so dull and meaningless to Zeke that during the return of Shingashina battle, he gets enraged and confused on why the Survey Corps soldiers keep on fighting when they know they will surely die.
歴史の過ちを学んでいないとは。レイス王によって世界の記憶を奪われたのは悲劇だ。だから何度も過ちを繰り返す。しまいには壁の中の奴ら全員、年寄りから子供まで特攻させるんだろうな。どうせ誇り高き死がどうとか言い出すと。ふざけやがって。粉々にしちゃったか。
Attack on Titan did start as this dark world filled with hopelessness and dread at every corner, but through the efforts of our main character Eren and his friends, as well as the Survey Corps, combined with their faith and belief in humanity's strengths, at least as the viewer, we see this as a glimmer of hope that through hard work and courage, they can fight and keep humanity from being extinct. But the crazy and almost discouraging part about that way of life that I think author Hajime Isayama wanted to illustrate throughout certain parts of the story is that hard work doesn't always guarantee success and that your efforts could possibly amount to nothing at the end of the day. Now, of course, the Survey Corps has dealt with that same reminder every time they go into battle, especially the forest battle with the female Titan, but Zeke is the biggest challenge they have to face because of Zeke's aggressive approach in fighting, a sad understanding of Eldian history and Paradise Island, as well as their ignorance. Zeke knows this and have realized that ever since being a young kid and witnessing the demise of the effort and work the Eldian restorationists have put in. And that's what I believe is Zeke's role in Attack on Titan. He is a barrier, not just in the prototypical villain every story needs, but a genuine idea and philosophy that the cast of heroes need to overcome, not just physically but mentally as well, in order to push humanity forward. I think it's a perfect time right now to discuss the subject of existential nihilism and love and salvation when it comes to Zeke Yeager's character. Existential nihilism, according to IEP.com, begins with the notion that the world is without meaning or purpose. Given this circumstance, existence itself, all action, suffering, and feeling, is ultimately senseless and empty. With respect to the universe, existential nihilism proposes that a single human or even the entire human species is insignificant without purpose, and unlikely to change in the totality of existence. Nihilism isn't a foreign subject in anime. You can think of characters like Johann Lieber in Monster, Yuki Ora in Bleach, and even Obito Uchiha in Naruto. But in all seriousness, what makes Zeke stand out is that even though his actions have a nihilist preface to them throughout the story, he seems to have just a little bit of love and care inside of him. And that love and care are shown numerous times throughout his interactions with his younger half-brother. Zeke can 100% relate to Eren's pain and suffering and believes through his genocidal plan he can free Eren as well as himself from their mundane existence. Therefore, through Zeke's brotherly love for Eren, we can still see some of his care and love that still beats within his heart, as well as his obsession with his idea of salvation. You see, ever since meeting Kisaver and how Kisaver in a way saved Zeke as a young boy, Zeke has that same type of mentality when it comes to Eren. Zeke has always held the belief that I am going to save everyone, we are going to save everyone, Eren, but fails to see the error in his ways that almost perfectly resembles the way Zeke's own father raised him. Unfortunately, instances of people believing they can save another person by themselves through his or her own actions, rejecting another person's free will or overall opinion on how they should live, still goes on in society. And obviously the genius known as Hajime Isayama wanted to illustrate that harmful wrongdoing through Eren and Zeke's relationship. By the end of the story, we see Zeke Yeager discussing with Armin about purpose, the origins of life, meaning, and giving up on life. This is probably the most broken we have ever seen Zeke ever since he was a child. As a grown man, we see him leading on his warriors forward and taking the initiative, but now he is completely hollow. Armin then talks to Zeke about a memory he had, running to the top of a hill with Eren and Mikasa in front of him. The breeze was nice, the sun was shining, and Armin confesses that he felt he was born just so that the three of them can run up a hill. Armin also felt that way reading books on a rainy day, feeding a squirrel nuts, and just walking around the market with some friends. Just these trivial moments that may seem mundane are actually very precious to Armin. Zeke is then shocked to see Armin show him a baseball. The same baseball that symbolized moments in Zeke's life where he felt happy, a sense of meaning. Just these little moments of throwing and catching again. That simple repetition. Zeke then says, yes, you're right. It doesn't mean a thing, but you're right. I would have much rather just kept on playing catch. Zeke's realization of appreciating just the tiny moments of life that give you the most joy instead of the overwhelming darkness that consumes you is a much better way to live and enjoy life. It's those moments in life that make you happy. It is a beautiful conclusion to such a fantastic and complex character that is Zeke Yeager. Being born as a child who was neglected from love and isolated, to a nihilistic warrior hell-bent on killing his own people, to a man finally recognizing and appreciating life for what it is and its beauty. It's so transformative, it's so brilliant, it's so gorgeous, it's magnifying, Well, that ends this week's video. Sorry for not making a real video in probably almost a month, almost 2 months now, but I'm back to being consistent. I'm back to uploading videos every single week on Friday, so make sure to turn on your post notifications on. Please, please, please subscribe, like, and comment. It really helps me a lot. And yeah, this was Mark Arroyo. Farewell.